You're also lately talking about the great shift, the imminent earth changes, and not to be scared, but to prepare, which is a lot of what we just talked about, right?
Yes.
What's alive and juicy in you in the moment of what this message has evolved into?
So the flash of light is an incredible thing. The angels, when they first talked about it to me, they said it would be the moment we all look back on and say that is when everything changed. So it is a distinct moment. It is a solar thing. Some people worry, is this a nuclear thing? No, absolutely not. It's not energy that hurts anyone. It is energy that is available to everyone. You don't have to be perfect to receive this. You don't even have to be on your path to receive this. Even if you just started your path yesterday, if you just woke up yesterday, you can receive the energy. The only way that we cannot receive it is if we turn away from it. The only way we turn away from it is by clinging on to what was. And the reason why that is that our expectations form reality. And if we have expectations based on the past, we are creating tomorrow based on what used to be. If we are not willing to say, okay, I don't understand what's coming, I don't know what it's going to be, but I'm going to allow it to, because the thing is, it has to emerge from inside of us. The new reality is formed from us. And if we are clinging to the past, what we will create is more of the past. That's why. It's the only reason why. So there's no judgment in it. Nobody's doing anything wrong. It's just, do you really want to create a new future? Great. Then we have to be open to something we've never experienced before.
Well, hey there, and welcome back to Fire and Soul. This has become such a sacred sanctuary for truth seekers, truth speakers, and those of us really longing to remember who we are and why we are here. And I'm just so grateful that you have tuned in for this conversation with Ann Tucker. I'm going to bring her on in a moment, but first came across her work through Pam Gregory, which of course many of us love and adore and admire. And I'm just so grateful for Pam being the bridge builder that she is and opening up my whole world and heart to the messages that come through Ann. So a brief introduction and then we'll welcome her into the show. Ann Tucker is a healer. She serves as a trance channel for the healing and wisdom of the Angel Collective, Mother of Creation, and Yeshua. She transmits their healing energies of live and virtual events and her monthly peace bathing ceremonies and so much more. I know that you're going to want to check it all out. And so we'll leave all of the resources in the show notes. But also, she is this incredible author of an international best-selling book called What Comes Next. This is a channeled text that basically is the proof in the pudding. It's like virtually all of the things the angels have been speaking through Anne for many years, and you can track it back and also corresponded to her videos on YouTube. And it's like, wow, they have been really accurate in their efforts to be there for us and support us in this grand transition that we find ourselves walking through, which is wild. So with that having been said, Anne, welcome to Fire and Soul. It's so beautiful to have you here.
Thank you so much. I've really been looking forward to our conversation.
Oh, thank you for that. You know, I know so much about you now, and thank you to Pam Gregory. But for those who are brand new, like, I love the way that your sort of evolution has unfolded in front of the world. And, coming from like the corporate executive coaching world too long ago, can you just share in your own words in current time what that evolution has been like for you?
Yeah, I do like to talk about it because I think there's many of us who, maybe there's some people on the planet that are just born eyes wide open, and that probably is happening more and more with our young children. But those of us who are adults, many of us have a waking up moment. And for me, the thing that became clear to me over time is that the first half of my life when I was asleep, and even the beginning phases of my waking up, none of it was an accident. It wasn't like there was a period of my life where I was just off track and then I got on track, that it was all purposeful, that the things that I did in the beginning, everything, I didn't know it, but I was being steered and guided to the things that would then play out and would become important later in life, and we know that with our wounding too, with our wounding, the ways that we're wounding end up being the ways that we serve. So it's all on purpose. So I did have, my awakening. And at the time, I was working, I had a very conventional life and I've never been a very conventional person, to be honest, but my life fit in all the boxes. And I had, very successful corporate career. And I started having all these kind of crazy psychic experiences. And I was just it was like this persistent, I could not stop thinking about it. I was so curious. It was the most exciting thing going on ever in my life. And it was such a consistent, like, okay, I need to figure this out. I want to figure this out. This is the most fun. So I finally took the plunge and said, okay, if I was an executive coach, if I was coaching me, what would I tell myself? And I said, okay, if it was me, I would say take a year. Take a year, go whole hog and figure this out. Do every course, do every travel, go wherever you need to go, do whatever you need to do to figure this, give it a year. And so I did. But the challenge was it was a one-way ticket.
Mm.
At that time, it has changed now. As a matter of fact, it has become less this way. As a matter of fact, I had my first speaking engagement in a big company as a channeler just last month. Shocked me. Like, oh my gosh, this happened. And amazing, amazing. And it was really exciting. But
Wow.
yeah, I know, to come back
We've
in.
come a long way. Give us a timeline too. How long ago was it that you said, I'm going to go whole hog?
Oh, let's see, 15 years ago. 15 years ago.
Okay, so yeah, we have come a long way because for people like me who had, I've been awakening my whole life, and that's just the way
Yeah.
I'll say it. But like, it really became clear during the whole COVID era, right? Living in
Yeah.
LA, and 2021 was like, whoa, this is an upside down world that I'm living in. So I've seen how fast it's been shifting since then. I can
So
only
much so.
imagine the quickening for you.
Yeah.
And as evidenced by now, a big corporate, company saying, come and speak about, what's flowing through you.
Yeah.
Okay, but for so many people that I know, I'm very curious what your thoughts are on this. I'm like so excited for this conversation. I want to go into a million directions, but I have some sort of a guidepost. There are a lot of people that I know, and maybe including myself in moments that will question like, well, where are my gifts and why don't I get some of that? And then I
Yeah.
have to remind myself, wait, your gifts are these gifts, and really honor those that have been bestowed uniquely to you, that people would love to have those gifts, right?
Yeah.
So, and I've even spoken about this, but just curious what your perspective is you're seeing so many people get curious about channeling, become more open to the idea that the angels could be communicating, Yeshua could be communicating, mother of creation,
Yes.
like whatever question is in there that you feel called to pick up on.
I think it's a fantastic question because the thing is that every single person has at least one, if not more, depending on how they're wired, spiritual gifts, at least. If you have only one, it means you're meant to go very deep in that one. And each of them is a way of channeling divine energy. It just comes through you in a specific way. So some are meant to be healers, some are meant to be channels, some are meant to be spiritual leaders, some are meant to be more counselors, guiding people one on one. And it varies depending on the person. Some of them have people the gift of projection. There's so many different premonition. There's so many different ones. So I think of each of us as like a circuit board, where we're totally wired uniquely. So even if, say, you and I both had the gift of healing, then the way that you're wired is going to be very unique to your, as I call it, your soul song. So your healing, even if we learned the same modality, say we both went out and got trained as like Reiki practitioners, eventually that energy is going to come through us we're going to take it and we're going to say, you know what? It feels better if I do it this way. I learned this trick. If I do it this way, it functions. I get more results. I feel it, the energy, whatever. We will change it
Mm.
because each of us, none of us, there's not one way. There's our way. And each of us has a unique way of delivering whatever that spiritual gift is.
Mm.
So people who, and yes, I'm a channeler, I'm a healer. I was kind of built, the way I was built was for my life purpose. But each of us are meant to use our spiritual gift or gifts in our lives. And so typically, like for you, you are on your path, you're deep in it. And so I'm willing to bet that you've got spiritual leadership in there, that you may have a little channeling in there. And that's going to be as you're tuning in and the energy. And even as you're speaking now, you may think that this is all, like, it's flowing through you and you feel when you're in the channel and in the connection. And I know that you do a lot of spiritual work on of yours that is beautiful, sharing those gifts. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is that even if someone else who has not embraced their gifts fully, that they may be touching them. They may be in moments experiencing them. So, but you can go deeper. Anybody can go deeper to find and identify and experience what it is that the unique way that they're meant to channel spirit.
So good. Oh, beautiful. I love how you landed all of that. And thank you for the honoring of me. As you were saying that, my channel got wider.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
was like, oh yeah. And I think that what you're doing for so many right now is demystifying this sort of far away, lofty idea of the term channeling. It could also
Yes.
be just like intuition, just
Yes.
like something coming through. I'm transmitting like these words, right? The rhetoric, has its
Yeah.
seasons and cycles, but really it's just like what feels most natural.
Yeah, it is. And it's a funny thing because people, so I am a specific type of channel. I'm a trance channel.
Yeah.
And so when I go into a deep trance, the angels step in or the mother of creation steps in and they speak through me. That is one form of channeling. What the way most people channel is that they are they get hits. So sometimes it's through clairvoyance where they'll get visuals. Sometimes it'll be through body sentiment, where they'll feel energy in the body or a direct knowing where all of a sudden they just have an awareness. There's different. So like I said, everybody's even smell. As a matter of fact, that is how
Mhm.
I smell. And I detect entities through smell, which is the weirdest thing. It took me a while to figure out what was happening. I thought my smeller was broken. Like, why do I always smell these weird smells? Oh, it's entities.
Are you
So
able to smell that virtually too?
no, it's only like in person.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
like if I'm in a space, I get in a cab or I come into a room and I'm like, oh, I used to always say like that my smeller was broken because I was always smelling pee or pot. And and it wasn't. It was I finally figured out what it was. And it's now I clear the room, smell is gone.
Yes. Oh my gosh, such a good gift. Thank you to all
Yeah.
of the support that you have coming through you to help in that. I love
But
this idea of redefining healing, though. Sorry, were you going to say something? I
yeah,
just
I was just going to say that in terms of the channeling, so that what and the thing is that a lot of people really wish, like I think what we all want in terms of our connection to spirit, we all want the deep, resonant, booming voice speaking in our ear with clear messages telling us exactly. It's not like that for me either. That's not how it's. Yes, I trance channel, but I think no matter what your connection is, there's always going to be this sense of you. There's always going to be faith involved. There's always going to be an element where we have to get over ourselves and believe what's coming through. And for me too, that there's a place for me because I am not in my body when I'm transitioning. So I come out and there's always this weird dreamlike state. Like, did that really happen?
Mhm.
And so I feel it too. So it's a thing where there's not going to be a place where you get to where you have that, like where you're sitting next to your guide on a park bench and it's like they just, you know what I mean? Like it's never going to be that physical. And if we can get over that and understand and that I think we get closer to embracing our gifts as they are and working in the uncertainty. We have to get comfortable with that feeling of the fluidity and the uncertainty. We have to come into it with our own sense of faith and self-determination.
That's a big message too that the angels are constantly saying through you
Yes.
too, right? And I had a whole other direction I thought we were going to go around redefining healing, which I think you just did. But I do want to I have to just pay homage to something that you said and say that I'm like, me too. We were like, used to not identify with the word healing at all. You
Oh gosh, yeah.
Right. And I know that's a brief little but it feels like it wants to be spoken to because I think there are many that come from self-development, new age, all that, not completely disassociated from that. But there was this whole thing of like healing. I'm not broken, right?
Yeah. Yeah, right? I know,
I didn't even
totally.
like the word. Don't talk to me about a healing path. That's not me. But interpretation of that now.
Yeah, it is. It is now I feel so differently about it. Like it is now I understand it to be not a thing. You don't heal because you're not capable. You don't heal because you're not, like you can be an incredibly successful, capable person in the world. You can have wonderful relationships, you can have and still need healing. That all it means is that there are aspects of ourself, aspects of our experience that we wish we didn't have, that they're pieces of our lives that we repress and that we fail to integrate.
Mm.
And it's natural. There's going to be things where you're like, gosh, I wish I hadn't said that, or gosh, if I could just that feeling whenever it comes up, I just push that down because I don't want to go. It's uncomfortable or it's scary to go there. So we deny. And every little experience throughout our life is like a frozen moment of self. They are like little individual living pieces. Like you always hear about the inner child. What if you have 1,000 billion inner childs and each one represents one of those moments where you did experience something that either you just don't know how to process or you wish didn't happen. And those all are non-integrated aspects of ourself. And when they rise up, if they feel scary, human reaction, we push it down
Mm.
or we fight it. We either push it down or we fight it in the world. We find that same wound replicated out in the public world and we become warriors against it. We will fight for the cause when in reality, we're trying to fight that inner experience.
Mm.
So the goal of healing is to stop fighting, so resistance creates polarity. It's a thing that removes us from the real goal, which is to get to the deep space of stillness. And that deep space of stillness, when we finally stop sloshing around and creating the chaos, it's like being in a big, in the ocean, you're splashing, splashing, splashing. You stop, all of a sudden you realize the water is clear and you can see down to the depths. And that is infinite potential. And that's where new things come out. That's where your highest potential can come from.
I'm in such a purification portal myself right now. I'm in full send menopause. So there's all of that very human experience that I'm learning to honor and be with because you can't escape it. There is no resisting that. I mean, I could numb out, but I choose not to.
Yeah.
I'm very curious. This opens up a new thread for me around. It's clear that the angels speak about the big solar flash. So let me scan out and then I'll bring it in and then we'll scan back out.
Yeah.
It's a very consistent message of theirs for quite a while, and 3 days of darkness and what that shift would look like, and then the split in consciousness or the shift in consciousness, the split in like to new earth. And you've done such a beautiful illustration from your interpretation about what that might feel like, not necessarily look like, but feel like, right? When we can see. And yet, if I scan in for just a moment, the shadow work, the integration, the sacred integration, right? And that ability to see into infinite possibility by honoring the wounding, right? And all the iterations of divine inner child and the imprints. And so the question around this is, and I was so curious to hear what your interpretation, your thoughts, and the angels possibly, but if you know their answer, then just, okay. This fine line of like accepting everything as is and finding that still point, and yet this beautiful juxtaposition of and do the inner work. And I'm just wondering, where is that with you? Because it seems to be a conflicting message, but yet what I'm experiencing just my own life and with my clients and circles and friends and family is they both coexist. They're not mutually exclusive, but there is a big, big, big swath of humans. I'm not here to judge it, but I know I have that want to do the spiritual bypass around it.
Yes.
So I'm just curious, what are the thoughts around that? And then we'll scan back out to the solar flare message, but just like in order to prepare, because that's a big question, right? How do we optimize? How do we prepare? What do I need to do, Anne, in my heart, in my body? So I probably said enough for you to know where you want to go with that.
Yeah, thank you so much for asking that, because you're right. It leads us to that question. And the thing that to me is so fun is that it's actually the same thing. Is that the path to healing and the path to stillness is the same thing. Is that it? And you're right. The spiritual bypass is never going to take us to where we want it to go. Like we by reaching for peace, all we're doing is actually existing in polarization and repression of what's really happening inside of us. It's not honoring who we really are. It is reaching for an emotion and repressing the reality of our experience. So the healing is really, it's the integration. The healing is the integration of, it's really drawing all of our energy back to ourself and trying to create coherence inside of ourself. So the place of stillness is the place of, and so when we say, how do we get to the place of like where we come to peace with what is, that is healing. We are at peace with what is inside of us. And we become at peace with what is outside of us as well. It is, and that doesn't mean we have to like it. That's the key. We don't have to like there's stuff going on in the world that you're like, how can I ever come to peace with that? Like, and not only that, how do we allow, like, what if there's children being wounded or hurt? How do we allow that? We don't have to allow that. We just have to admit that it's true. That's the key. That the thing that's happening inside of us is that all of us at our core, despite no matter what issues we have with self-worth or whatever, somewhere deep down, we all know that we are divine beings. And
Yes.
then we came to this place and horrible things happened to us. And people were not nice to us. And things did not meet our expectations. And we were not supported the way we were expecting to be. And there was not the kind of love that we were used to experiencing.
Mm.
And so we're left with this feeling like it's almost like shock. Like when you hear something so abominable and you just sit there and think, where you just have no response. You're just like, how could that happen?
Yeah.
And that's how some part of us feels. How could this happen to me?
Yes.
And we sit in that space of like, I just don't even know what to do with this. This is so not what I expected. And so it sticks and we stay in that space of, and so really what's happening when we are out trying to trying to get someone to apologize, or we're trying to get some kind of justice or whatever it is, what we're really trying to do is to say, did this really happen to me?
Yeah.
And all we need to do is turn around and be our own witness. And we need to look at ourselves, to look at the experience and say, not only did it happen, it was worse than you think. It was worse than you're allowing it to be.
Oh, wow.
It was that bad.
Yeah.
And to be the witness and to say, you know what? It's true. It's so true. When I'm going to be with you in that truth and know that you're still okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to love you through that experience. And I'm going to hold myself, hold my inner child, hold my experience through that experience. And that is coming. It doesn't mean I have to like it, right? It's not good. I'm not saying it should happen again, but it's true. And what happens in terms of actually crusading against the terrible ills of the world, it's like a tug of war, a rope. They are having an energy of working out their wounds, and we have an energy of working out our wounds. And we're pulling, saying, I will not allow you to do that terrible thing. I'm going to pull the rope, pull the rope, pull the rope, because it happened to me, right? When I come to peace with myself and I say, it did actually happen to me. I admit it now. I admit the truth. I feel the truth, and I love myself through it. All of a sudden, we let go the rope.
Yeah.
And what happens to the other side? There's no one pulling the rope. They fall down.
Yeah.
So that is how we actually, the inside battle of accepting of what happened, of just coming to the truth of it, that will heal the world.
Yeah, just acknowledging it and accepting it, allowing it to be true. And I'll tell you real briefly, I've been on this beautiful journey of a deeper dark night of the soul.
Yeah, yay, yay.
Thank you, angels. And it showed me just how unsafe I would feel in certain circles or certain relational dynamics, and how all connection would be dangerous, right? In when I'm feeling stressed or afraid or anxious, and how the hypervigilance would come on as a protective barrier. And then I was like, wow, if I just assure my divine inner child, my little girl, that she's safe, I got her. Yeah. Look at all that we've done, all how we've grown, right? You got angels like on your behalf, like truly, like I'm being light, but it really can be.
Absolutely.
And then it's like I can return to wholeness, and then I can remove the darts of hypervigilance and righteousness. Yeah. And and that for me is what feels most true, right? It's an honoring of the deep inner work. It's an integrative process. I don't have to, unpack every little aspect, but yet I can return to my wholeness, so I can see the wholeness in everyone else as well.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And there is the interesting thing about how do we respond to our traumas. And it is by retracting into the snail shell. We pull ourselves back into the dark space. And the fascinating conversation I had with the mother of creation, who's being I channel, and she was showing me what it is to pull into the darkest space. And the fear, we have this terrible feeling in humanity, in the collective consciousness, we all have it. I have it. Everyone has it. The fear of being alone, the fear of being lost forever. The fear of being lost to everyone, that it's like that idea that there will be nobody there for you. And pulling into that dark, safe, feels like safe space. And she's telling me, she says safety, and she laughs. What is safety? You're an infinite being. Like, what is safety? Like, really, honestly, like, what is it? And she shows me back in the deep, 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 dark, I'm all alone. And I realize I'm okay. Like, I'm okay. I can be in the dark. I can be totally alone, isolated, and I'm okay. And a lot of people exist in that space. They retract. They literally callous off their openings to the light because they're in such a fear state. They callous it off. They hide in that space, and they're okay. But the challenge is that is the dark. And the light, we carry the light inside of us, but when we are by ourselves, it can't come out. The only time it comes out is when we connect with another person. When two people connect, it creates the light. And so this is why you will see people who are in really, really dark places, people who have a really hard time connecting, people who are maybe in a lot of anger. You will see road rage because it's an opportunity. It doesn't matter if it's positive or negative. It's a connection. It creates just a little bit of light, and it's like they're grasping for that little bit of light that they can get because they're in that really dark place. Yeah. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, really beautifully said and divinely timed, Mother of Creation. Thank you so much. Because
Yeah.
that is going to offer me a reframe as well, is that like, wait, if I'm going to the safety, which served me during that time,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
also it's like when I'm completely connected, right?
Yeah.
Like there's nothing to protect against, right? So I
Yes.
know that
Yeah.
that contrast and
Yeah.
having our resources, having our tools, having our guides come on and remind us, like the bridge builders of like to nirvana, which is always within. But
Yeah.
thank you
Yeah.
for helping me understand how to amplify the light because I've never heard that, but it makes sense. There
Yeah.
is a Yeshua scripture. I don't know much about the Bible, but I definitely love Jesus. And the way that Yeshua has been showing up for me the past 2 years has been so beautiful as a friend, as a guide.
Yeah.
It's been very profound. But you might know when two or more gather.
Yes.
What is that?
Yes.
Do you know the exact phrase?
I am not,
It doesn't
we got
matter.
two non-Bible scholars here.
Yes,
So
perfect, right? But when two or more gather, I am present. Like I am
yes.
like that light.
Yes, that is exactly
Yes,
it.
yes,
Yes. Oh my gosh.
yes. I
Totally. I
just
didn't even
got
think of
that.
that.
Oh,
That
thank
is
you,
it.
Yeshua.
Yeah, exactly. Totally awesome. Because that is
Yeah.
it. And that was what she was showing me. It is that connection. And that is why groups are so powerful is the connection literally is what draws the light out of you, out of me. And it amplifies and becomes more light. So it is like the pathway forward is connection, and
Yes.
she even showed me the grid around the planet and showing that it was connections between souls forming the grid, creating the light. Yeah.
Mm, yeah, that's
Hmm.
ooh, I'm getting the full divine tingles as
I
I
know, right?
yeah, woohoo.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, very exciting. Okay, back to solar flares. Not to like bring the conversation down. Actually, let's expand into that because I
Yes.
love the way that you teach on that and that you share from what they've channeled through you about 3 days of darkness. So, yeah, can you just share where you are in current time? Because you're also lately talking about the great shift, the imminent earth changes, and not
Yeah.
to be scared, but to
Yeah.
prepare, which is a lot of what we just talked about, right?
Yes.
But see,
Yeah.
so what's alive and juicy in you in the moment of what this message has evolved into?
Wow. So yeah, so the flash of light is an incredible thing. The angels, when they first talked about it to me, a lot of the message I had this massive period of 6 months where they're kind of talking about all of the events of the shift, and then after that, the messages change, they evolve over time, but those have been playing out, and they still come in and update and add more all the time. But they talked back then about the flash of light, and the first time they talked about it, they said it would be the moment we all look back on and say that is when everything changed. So it is a distinct moment, and it is. I have since learned from them that it is this. It comes from a sun, and they say I believe it's the same sun that generated us, that the sun that we came through. So, which
Interesting.
I could talk about that for hours because there's a whole thing with the mother of creation and the sun, and that's a whole crazy
I would
story of
love to have you
awesomeness.
back for that because the sun has absolutely been speaking to me. And like every morning, I go out and sunrise meditation prayer to the sun. Never done.
Wow.
It's been happening for about since January. So
Oh my gosh.
yeah, maybe
Yes.
another conversation on that because I would love to honor what's coming through with that clarity. Okay,
Yeah.
I digress.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd love to, it'd be a great conversation because it is fascinating. So, okay. So the solar flash, it is a solar thing. It is not, some people worry, is this a nuclear thing? No, absolutely not. And they've also said that it is not energy that hurts anyone,
Mm,
that it is energy that it is available to everyone.
mm,
The only way that you cannot receive, you don't have to be perfect to receive this. You don't even have to be on your path to receive this. You can be, even if you just started your path yesterday, if you just woke up yesterday, you can receive the energy. But all you can do, the only way that we cannot receive it is if we turn away from it. The only way we turn away from it is by clinging on to what was.
ooh,
So, and the reason why that is that our expectations form reality. Like, and if we have expectations based on the past, we are creating tomorrow based on what used to be.
Mm.
So if we're clinging to what was and saying, "Oh yeah, I want to come along, but I don't want to lose my whatever it is I've been building, whether it be I don't want to lose my bank account, I don't want to lose my job. I'm, in a school to earn a medical degree. I don't want to give that up, whatever it is." That is turning around. And the way talking about another reference back to the Bible, the pillar of salt story,
Mm.
the idea that they are, and I was able to make this connection afterwards. It was like talking to people and someone mentioned this. I'm like, oh my gosh, I bet you that's it. It's a Bible way of talking about this same thing, which is that there's a story about people being led away. I think it's from Babylon. And I might be somebody, might be like a Moses person. I'm not sure. Somebody says, don't turn around or don't look back. Like, follow me. I will lead you to the next great thing. If you turn around, you will turn to a pillar of salt. And it is that idea. And then there's one person who like wants to go back and like one last look or just checking on, reaching back to the past. And it's not that we are going to turn into a pillar of salt, but the idea is a metaphor that if we cling to the past, if we are not willing to say, okay, I don't understand what's coming, I don't know what it's going to be, but I'm going to allow it to, because the thing is, it has to emerge from inside of us. The new reality is formed from us. And if we are clinging to the past, what we will create is more of the past. That's why. It's the only reason why. So there's no judgment in it. There's no, like, nobody's doing anything wrong. It's just, do you really want to create a new future? Great. Then we have to be open to something we've never experienced before. So a lot of their messages are about how do we become open to experiencing something we've never experienced before. Yeah.
So how do we be open to something?
Yeah. Yeah. And I also feel like I should say about the flash of light is that when it comes, it will be unmistakable. Like, it definitely has not come yet. It will be an unmistakable moment of energy. It'll be like they said, rainbow starlight. Like, I imagine almost like sizzling little sizzles in the air. And they said, when it comes, it's not like it's an instant. It's not like it's a moment. It'll be here for a while. So you have time. Even if you're like out at the grocery store, you can go home. It'll be okay. If you're, it's like people worry about like, what if it hits? And I'm like, it's like, no, don't worry. It's going to be fine. However it happens. And the angels will guide us through the entire, I have message after message describing in detail what the physical experience will be, what the angel will be doing, how it will affect us, all of that, because it's important to know.
Yeah. And all of that can be found on your YouTube, because I realize each one of those would be really deep dives, but
it is. Yeah.
General, just to give us a little bone.
Yeah.
In general, can we best prepare in addition to what we were just talking about, which is doing our inner work, keeping our hearts open, and being in community?
Yeah, it is. I think that having the understanding that the goal is to try to be open to that space of accepting what is and allowing something new to be birthed from within it. So one of the things we can do now, simple but very, like, I think really good, tangible thing for us humans, do something you've never done before. Put yourself in a position where you're having to exercise the skill of not knowing the answers. And that is much harder to do today as an adult than it's ever been. Because if you imagine, like, think about if you're going to go on a trip, before you go on the trip, you watch a travel vlog and you basically go to all the places you're going to go before you go there. If you're going to go drive somewhere, you've got Google Maps and it and you've seen all the Google reviews and you know what you're going to eat before you get there. Like, we know everything already, or we know before it happens. So there's very few. So you have to actually do some work. Like, the metaphor I like to use is, imagine that you're driving down a road and you see a weird little road that goes off to the left and it's not on the map and you don't know where it's going. And you decide to go that way. And we would never do this because it's not on Google Maps. We don't know what's at the end. But imagine you do. And imagine what the experience would be like is that you would have no idea how long the road would be. You have no idea what's at the other end, and you have no idea what you're going to experience along the way. And will there be a bathroom? I don't know. Will there be anywhere to go? I don't know. You just have to go. That's the experience that we need to be putting ourselves in. So you could learn a new language. You could try a skill that you have no idea. Do something that puts you out of your comfort zone. Go learn to go fishing. Something that's like, okay, this is a little scary to me. Be out on the boat, whatever. Just go and try it and be in that beginner's mind, the child mind is what we're trying to remember. So that if we can get in that space, we'll be much more comfortable with this idea of creating something we've never experienced before.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you for that. Yes, I love it. Tomorrow morning, I'm doing something out of my comfort zone called a dance at 7 a.m. Like, I'm sober anyway, but like we're at 7 a.m. The thing hasn't settled yet.
You're doing a dance class? What kind of
Well,
dance class?
it's at the biohacking conference here in Austin with
Fun.
Dave Asprey. I have a lot of friends who are speaking or who are holding immersions, and so I'm just going to support a friend, but also because it's out of my comfort zone. They
That's
had all these
awesome.
different immersions they were doing, my dear friends from Europe, and I was like, I'm taking the 7 a.m. because it's an hour away from here, which means I have to
Yeah.
wake up at 5 a.m. to then get in the car at 6 a.m.
Oh my gosh.
None of that is in my comfort zone, but all of it is stretching me, right? And
Yeah,
so it's like,
yeah.
cool.
And
Yeah.
that's a perfect thing because you're going somewhere you don't know exactly what it's going to be, what the experience is going to be. Like it's a great example.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you for that. My goodness. Oh gosh. We're like flowing along. We're right on track. And I wasn't even really looking at my notes. This is awesome. Okay, but going back to the shift is really what they continue to talk about, and
Yeah.
thankfully so. How do we? What is it really? Because I've heard you describe like the houses with lights on in the same house, even or next door
Yeah.
neighbors, and I thought that was such a brilliant reference, and I could really see that in my mind. And for those
Yeah.
who aren't visual, you could like feel it. So
Yeah.
can you? Is that New Earth? For a lack of
So
better term, or I realize we're talking about consciousness and a split and a shift. So maybe the
yeah.
distinction of both.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So, I mean, we can kind of tie it to the flash of light that we were just talking
Mhm.
about, that we are, as you know, we are in the process of this shift in consciousness.
Yeah.
So, and there has been a lot of conversation about like we're moving from 3D to 5D. And I think that gets really confusing because I think some people think that they might be led to think that we're like physically moving to a new place, when in fact, the place that we are in is radiated from like inside of us, like our reality. We create our reality. Like wherever we go, that's where the reality is.
Mhm.
So, so, so we are, it is more of a, it is a shift in consciousness. And what that means really is imagine and this gets the idea of the soul song. Imagine that your song, you are a song, your whole body, your essence, your name, everything about you creates every experience you've ever had comes together to make a beautiful song, and you are singing it in an octave, and it's like here's the octave, and you're singing it right here, and it's wonderful, and it has high notes and low notes, and it's all the things you experience and all the things that you are in the world, like your full range. And you can even think of it as like a full range of emotions and reactions to experiences. Then along comes the flash of light, and it's not just that, because we have been being bombarded with light, like the solar energy right now hitting the planet is off the charts. So we are kind of like stretching, right? Stretching.
Mhm.
But at some point, here we go, the flash of light comes and kaboom, we move up to a higher octave. And it's still you, still say all your memories are the same, your relationships are the same, who you are is the same. But it's just like imagine you, like you have you on your like lowest day, like on a day when you're just like nothing's working for me and I feel really discouraged and I feel really low. And then you have your day on your like anything's possible and I'm the queen of the world, and you know that's the same you. It's just you at two levels. So imagine now you take it and you're here. So
Mhm.
your low lows don't really happen anymore, and you have a new high that you have not yet experienced. And so, and it puts us into a spiritual perspective of our world. The biggest thing that comes from this, the thing that will change the world, is the telepathy,
Ooh.
is the unified. Everybody talks about unified consciousness, that it's this idea that we all of a sudden we begin to be able to feel. And those of us who are, are empaths, imagine empaths like double triple, 5 billion, amplified mega empathy
Yeah.
where but it's everybody, where all of a sudden we start to feel another person's experience, and that changes everything. Because how can you have war if you feel the pain of another person? Or how can, if you have too much, how could you keep it if you can feel another person doesn't have enough? If they're you wouldn't, because your experience is their experience. That would be natural to say, oh my gosh, let's fix that, here, take
Mhm.
some.
Mhm.
It would be natural. So that is what brings us eventually to world peace. And world peace opens the door to us becoming galactic citizens.
Hmm. Okay, that could be a mic drop right there. Beautiful. And it feels really true for me,
Yeah.
because I resonate with that. I recently was in a medicine journey, and I was speaking light language 3/4 of the entire night.
Wow.
And then I remembered in that medicine journey that I used to speak that with my actual sister in this life.
Oh,
and for 3 or 4 years, and I was shown it. And so I called her 2 days later and I said, "Do you remember speaking light language?" And she was like, "What, in high school?" And I was like, "No, when we were really little girls." And I started just speaking what I interpret as light language, and she burst into tears. She's like, I remember." So it's just like, so now I'm like, what's my star lineage?
oh my, yes,
So
right.
yes, there is something
Yeah,
so exciting, but I also want to
yeah,
piggyback or maybe kind of weave in one thread. A
yeah.
couple of weeks ago, remember how earlier in the conversation I mentioned that I was going through yet another initiation, a dark night, which is like, listen, I'm here for it. Like, holy
Yes,
crap.
yes.
But it was spawned by that divine charged particle 2 week window that you were talking about. And suddenly everyone was sharing it with me, and then I was sharing it with everyone. And so I took it so sincere. I mean, I like did it, wrote it all out. I was aware of what every day means, and I was listening to your videos. And so I had my request, my manifestation, right? That would have a
Yes.
divine lightning quickening, as my friend Bonnie P says, divine lightning. And I was asking to open my heart to really draw in my beloved husband. And I was like, wait, is that material? Wait, does that serve the whole? Yes, it does serve the whole. But it was just opening my heart. And then what happened and has been happening is just the angels showing me all the ways in which there's work there. It's not open, and beautiful examples of where it is and where it's free and it's clear and clean.
Yeah.
But I'm just very curious if there's anything on that that you would like to speak to, and or what was your personal experience, and or what you observed in the collective, because that was a potent transmission, and I took
Yes.
it as a very direct invitation, and it was
Yeah.
just really important, and I'm kind of unraveling from that. And
Yes.
so I'm trying to remember to give myself a lot of grace, because I'm obviously like a child in my wonder and awe of all that's happening, but it's confusing, Anne.
Yes, totally. Totally. And yeah, and I love and thank you so much for, I mean, to bring your authenticity and your vulnerability about your own journey. I think is just so helpful and inspiring to people that experience of saying, okay, this is what I desire. And then I think it's so often that we make up, however anybody speaks to spirit, whether they're making a prayer, they're speaking, speaking in however you speak to your guides and your source, but we'll ask for something, and then what we feel is it's not coming, or we feel like, here, like you said, I'm being shown. And but that is the key, is that when we start putting our energy toward the thing that we truly desire, when we're willing to come into alignment with the thing we desire, the first thing that shows up is the things that are in the way of us achieving that thing. And that, so it's like, I have my dear friend Michael Sheridan always says, the obstacles are not in the way, they are the way.
Yes.
And yeah, it is not the universe conspiring against you. It's not a message saying it's not the right time for you, or you should get. A lot of people will read that. They'll say, "Oh, well, that must be a message for my guides, and I'm not meant to do that right now." No, the fact that you're being showing this is showing you, no, now you're serious. Okay, here, do this. Work on. Here's the thing. Here's the pain. Work here. And it can be incredibly constructive. So when I have stuff like that for myself, when it comes up, and then I have to sit with it again. I have to sit down and say, okay, and I do my own self-healing process, and I find where that pain is in me, and I sit and I observe, and I am my witness, and I allow it to come up, and all of that. But it is possible, like what the grace is of that experience, and then it's continuing. Like we're getting flushes of light. We get that massive awake period, and then but it's continuing, waves of light coming in, all building up to the biggie. But the biggie, but the beauty of it is that we are able to move through our stuff way faster right now, way faster.
Amen. Thank you for saying that, because I was just actually thinking about that last night as I was prepping for you and just so excited for this conversation. I was like, yes, you moved that through that fast. Celebrate the fact that you even saw it and that you were
Yes,
willing
yes.
to play witness to your adolescent years that fueled some of those relational patterns, right? Of distrust and hypervigilance. And there's a thread here.
Yeah.
There's a theme here. But I think, in fact, I know that it's very universal,
Yeah.
and so whatever I am awakening to, I'm just courageous enough to speak it. And so
Yeah.
if it shows up temporarily as some shattered connections, whatever's meant to restore to wholeness will, but everything can inside my own heart first, right? And not
Yeah.
making it be about me and more about an experience, and then that deep remembrance, that invitation to remember who I really
Yeah.
and what this
Yeah.
is all about. Yeah. So
Yeah.
thank you for helping me just see that from a perspective of yeah, that beautiful divine lens.
Yeah, I love it. And I will share my own healing journey. So in my chart, I use a lot of different tools to help me understand my journey. My astrology is one of them. I love that. I use
May
my
I ask, do
dream.
you use tropical, sidereal,
I
like is
use it all.
that okay, same.
I
Okay,
tend
same.
to, yeah, I'm more of like, let me sample this and see and see what they say against each other. I find
Yeah.
that to be very
Mhm.
interesting.
Mm.
But, but, uh, but anyways, in my astrology, my chart, I have a ton of energy in my seventh house, and I have my mother and my father in my seventh house. So a lot of my path of healing is through relationships. So
Same.
same with you. Yeah. And so it's a good thing if somebody has not checked in their chart where they have their emphasis for healing, where is Chiron in their chart and all of that. It's incredibly helpful to it kind of helps to almost explain your life a little bit, and then to help to shed some light on where you've had difficulty. But and I've been married twice. I've had, and really karmic, really hard relationships. And then after I got out of my second marriage, I did not date for like 4 years. And for the first year or two, I still was, and I watch my dreams. I'm very much involved. I don't dream a ton, but my dreams are incredibly helpful when I have them. And my dreams would show me, I would show like what needed to be healed. They would be showing me all the time. I kind of take like my pulse all the time in my dreams. But I got done after about a year and a half of that kind of no dating period. The healing dream stopped. And I was like, oh my gosh, maybe I'm healed. Did I do it? Woo, yay, me, oh, yay, me, or whatever. And then I go through at a period. I finally decide, well, maybe after 4 years, maybe I'm ready to start dating again. I start dating. The minute I decide to start dating, healing dreams are back. And what it shows
When two
me,
or more gather.
that's exactly it, right? I was in the dark hidey hole. I needed to connect to create the light.
Mm.
And it wasn't that I was like my life was turned off. Like my life was really flourishing in other areas, but I just was not activating the area where my healing was meant to happen. So it had shut down. So not shut down. I was still growing and changing, but there was potency. There was still stuff there. And then I will tell you the coolest thing. So what I did is I used dating as a healing lab.
Mm.
So I went on Match
Mhm.
and I did a process where I would turn on the app. And where I live, the area I live in is like way more men than women because I live in a tech area. I live in Seattle. It's way full of tech companies. The ratio is just, it's unfortunate for the guys. It's great for the gals. So, and so anyways, you turn my app on and it would be like I would match with 3 people and I would turn it off. And then I would date those 3 guys. What I found is that all 3 of them had like bizarre things in common and they all triggered me in the exact same way.
Oh,
So
perfect.
they would be showing me a wound, right? I would heal the wound. And then those were not the right guys. We move on, turn the app on, 3 new guys. They all trigger me in the same way. You see a wound, right? And the relationship that dating. I did this 3 times. Then I have a dream. I'm standing in the bathtub. I'm facing a man. I'm holding a scrub brush. I look down at my feet and there's a red stain in the bathtub. And I get down and I scrub, 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 scrub. And I stand up, stain's not gone. I go down again, scrub, scrub, scrub. I stand up and I do this 3 times, clearly 3 rounds of healing.
Hmm.
And then I get to the end and it's like, okay, now you're ready. So, and it goes on from there. The next phase, anyways, I could keep talking about this for a while, but it was to you. My point is to use it as a healing, like we're not going into it saying, is this guy the one? Is this going to be it? No, it's not. This is going to be how you get closer to you. This is going to be how you understand what's in the way of you having, and maybe it will be the one, and maybe you work it all out with that one guy, one person, whoever it is, guy, gal, whatever you choose. But the point is that it's a process of we put so much energy into the story of I have to find one person and it's a forever love and it's my Disney story. And like, what if it's not that? What if the journey is the thing that's remarkable and it's a journey of self explored through the light created by 2 people coming together?
I love that, especially because I relate so much.
Yeah.
And that you also share, your biggest karma in this life is through relationships and not just men and marriages, but also through, I'm sure friendships and clients and community. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just, and right now it's really up. Let's face it, humanity is in a shadow to light moment. But this idea of letting it be a dating lab, I'm very curious, like, what is your current status? Like, are you dating or what's
Yeah.
happening now?
Yeah, well, thank you for asking. So that the way that all wound up is the after the round of three, which were really showing me the last remaining issues that were really in the way of me getting to the next
Mm,
level of whatever this was.
mhm,
And at the time I thought it was the next level to meeting the guy that was going to be the guy.
mm.
Then they showed me I connected on Match with a guy who would have been my perfect type when I was in my 20s.
Yep.
And so we went on a couple dates and I realized, oh my gosh, I'm now, and they were healing my, so it's like the spiral of healing as you go through, you heal sort of your trauma, you move up higher on the spiral, you get up to what is my conditioning. So here I was healing at higher level. I was healing my conditioning, which is I need to be with a conventional person who's like what I was in my 20s. And I realized, oh my gosh, I'm not that anymore.
Yeah.
So I had to update my expectation about who do I match with now. It's no longer this blueprint of who I used to be. That's what I thought I was looking for. I'm not that anymore. So that was like a mental switch. Then finally, I was ready to meet the guy who was going to take me on the next journey. And I was literally, so I went through that short duration of dating. And then I was like, turn the match on again. Immediately, I get a message from a guy. And he says, if you want help, because I was put on my profile, I was trying to grow vegetables. He says, if you want with your help with your vegetable garden, I'm your guy. And the words I'm your guy floated up off the screen and hung in midair.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh my gosh, okay. And he was. And so we dated for about 2.5 years.
Mhm.
And he helped me in the process of that relationship. He helped me. I learned one of my biggest wounds was the fear that I was not, if I spoke my needs, that I would lose the relationship. So it was like from a very, very young child, feeling like my parents were going through a lot when I was a baby, when I was in the womb, and when I was a newborn. My parents were in the process of splitting. There really wasn't a lot of space for a baby. And I learned if I want to keep my parents around, I better create harmony only. I want to bring them together. I better create harmony. I better not have any problems. So that has been the obstacle of not saying
Mm.
what I need, not saying if my feelings are hurt, or not saying. So I had to get over that. It's a big one, huge one. It's about being honest,
That's a
you know?
nervous system state of fawning.
Yes, it's a
Oh,
huge one.
geez.
So in this
Trauma. Whew.
Yeah. So in this relationship, I finally felt safe enough to be able to create chaos in the relationship if I needed to. I
Mm.
was felt safe enough to make him upset if I needed to, if that was the right thing to do, you know? And so I did, and I had to go through layers of that, layers. And but in the long run, it had its evolution, and there was a reason it was not meant to be it got to a place where like all the time I was in it, my guides were like, stay in, stay in, stay in, stay in, stay. Like anytime I leaned out, they're like, get back in there. So I thought this is the one I'm meant to be with, even though there was issues in the relationship. But then we finally got to a place where I healed the last thing. And then it became, now, if you stay together, you will stop growing. And
Mm.
so, yeah. And so and there was multiple reasons around it, that led to that process, but it was a journey. So yeah. So anyways, the relationship recently ended, but it was by far my best relationship I've had yet. And yet it was also, there was aspects of it in which I could not be my fullest self.
Yeah, I'm really.
So it's like I need to continue to evolve. And so does he. He needs to continue to evolve too.
Mhm, mhm,
But yeah, I feel so differently about things now. It's
mhm,
really amazing. It's really amazing. So I'm alone now. I'm single again. And it's really relatively recent. And I've been going through the experience of that
mhm.
and trying to see, how does it feel? Who am I now that I've had this process of evolution? Where do I bump into myself now? So it's really interesting. I'm always looking to see, where's my growth edge, you
Well,
know?
I am really honoring everything that you just shared. Not only that you shared it, so thank you, but also that you are going through this process, because what I'm picking up on is the incredible courage for you to be in a chronic fawn state and then to leave the corporate executive conventional job that was like your holy grail, like then I'll be worthy, then I'll matter, then they'll see me and listen to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And to leave that to follow this true north calling that is truly on divine mission.
Yeah.
And that in and of itself would completely completely evolve who you are looking for and who has the capacity to be with you and who wouldn't be intimidated but activated by it, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, and or maybe, just grounding for you or whatever that is, because that's what I'm experiencing right now. And in
Yeah.
terms of what I'm really opening myself to.
Yeah.
But real briefly, and then we'll close it out with whatever message wants to come through. I just wanted to honor the divine particle, charged particle 2 week window in me,
Yes.
asking for my heart to be open and to really call in this beloved husband. And so right away, I was shown just all of my friendships and clients and all the ways in which it needed to be some parts that needed to be cleaned up. And I was also shown what you're doing here, beautiful, keep going, right?
Yeah.
But also
Yes.
go back and clean some stuff up. And so
Yeah.
this is why I'm so grateful for this part of the conversation, because we're really grounding it into the human experience of what it's like to be on this epic,
Yeah.
planet at
Yeah,
this time. And
exactly. Exactly.
right, like a galactic citizen. And yet, yeah, there's some human stuff. And like, can we let it all belong?
Yeah. And honestly, it's like the best stuff. Like it's the hardest stuff and it's the best stuff. Like it's the thing I think about how I've changed because of this, because of the journey I've been on in the last 2.5 years. It was really about honoring myself. And the final ending of the relationship was, will I honor myself? And it was like, sort of like the final test. Will you honor yourself? Will you honor your own feelings or not? And will you create peace and harmony, or will you honor your feelings? Will you accept disruption and honor who you are?
Oh, that is
So
so good.
yeah, it's really like and not easy, it's not easy, but I can look at that and say, okay, yeah, I have grown. Like I am willing to be, and what it felt like in the moment, I will tell you, it felt like having a dad
Mm.
that like stood, like I was like my own dad. You know what I mean? Like the dad that I would have wanted when I was an infant, that said, like, you gotta, this is what I need. This is how I'm gonna be in the world. This is how I'm gonna feel safe in the world. This is how I need to be treated. This is who I am.
Yeah, that's so beautiful.
And yeah, but it felt even more empowering that it came from inside of me, that it
Of
didn't need,
course.
you know what I mean?
Yes, I
Mm-hmm.
do know what you mean, but actually only recently. That's that divine inner union. That's
Yeah.
sacred masculine, right? Coming on to
Yes. Yeah.
direct to God, yeah, like woo. And
Yeah.
I'm under this idea that when I come into that wholeness of sacred union within, that is a much easier um um request for the angels to be like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like GPS.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, this
Totally.
is just something that I believe, but I also recognize that in the meantime, there's nothing missing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Really important piece for a
Yeah.
lot of people navigating relational challenges right now, right?
Yeah.
Because you can be inside of a marriage and feel very unseen. So there's that.
Very much so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Man,
And
so
it's
yeah.
yeah. Go ahead.
And
Sorry.
well, no, this is just clearly like a fun, juicy conversation to women who know their light and also know their pain. And it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like letting it all be and like remembering that this is passing through me, but it's not the totality of me.
Yes.
And that I get to honor who I really am. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I do feel like it is like we are meant to be dynamic. We are meant to fall down. If we don't fall down, we're not learning, and it is a process. And so, no, I am wholeheartedly a believer in being very transparent about what I'm going through, because it's like not only that, but that is how we create the light, because that's how we create connection. Anybody who's on a pedestal is far away. Like if we put the angels on a pedestal, we can't touch them. They want to be here next to us. And so it's like, accept our vulnerability, accept our weaknesses, accept all of it, our
Yeah.
imperfections.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's how we create the light.
That's beautiful. I love that. And I'm so with you. It rings 100% true. How are you feeling? And how are the angels? Is there time? Is there spaciousness?
You bet.
Or okay, because I'm
Yes.
obviously I want to be like, oh, if they have anything for me, feel free to weave it in. But obviously it's for
You bet.
the collective. I am so grateful that everyone is here and I can feel my own guide here. And I just want to take a moment to honor that. I feel like she's always here. But yeah, so whenever you are ready, so
Awesome.
grateful. Okay.
All right, let's do it. Let's do it.
Mhm.
I'll go ahead and lead us through a little grounding exercise. So go ahead and drop down from your tailbone a nice thick root that goes down through the floor and down into the ground. and follow it down with your mind as it grows and extends, growing deeper and deeper into the earth, following it down where it's dark and cool, extending longer and longer. And follow it all the way down to the very, very center of the earth. And when it reaches that center point, feel the root sprout and anchor itself in. And as it does, notice that the root is pulling gently and becoming taut. And feel as that tautness moves all the way up the root. And then all the way up your spine, anchoring you securely to the earth. I'd like to ask the angels to please help me to be a clear channel of healing and information for Michelle and for her audience for our highest and best good. And please help us to receive this healing and information. Thank you. Bringing in the angels. Blessed being, we are together now. We are as one, united, always. You are the sun, a reflection of the divine energy, solar. The solar plexus of the body is the instrumentation that you align with. You are fragmented consciousness of a solar star. You are an illuminated being. You are a unfathomable divine energy. And we wish for you to receive this information, to allow yourself the gentle wisdom that pours for you from that source, to allow this energy to become vivid in your imaginings, to allow yourself to align with it, to feel the fragmentation you are experiencing now shall reorganize itself into union with what has been your lineage, your history, with what has been felt by all other fragmented beings who you are unified and will unify with again. You are a consciousness born alone and born separated. However, tangentially speaking, you are referred to or a reference point back toward the central sun of your birth. And this shall perform itself into unified structure through the processing of what has been your traumatic events and all you've been experiencing. All that you've known and ever felt shall come home again, shall come to you, as well as those fragmented others to whom you are connecting through intuitive knowings. They are earthbound, some, not always, not all are earthbound. Some are ancestral, some are no longer no longer wounded ancestral beings. You shall find yourself in a unified heart with all of them. And from this encounter, information shall come, processing ability, which you will encounter, you will begin encountering through the processing of this unified structure. You shall begin to understand yourself more fully and understand others. And healing profound shall come through this union. It is a processing that is occurring within the context of the earth awakening, and it shall come to you all at once in a moment, as if your own self became part of a structure you've always belonged to. And now you know yourself better as one being among many, and as one that is separated as both at once. This is sounding the same, but is not the same as the collectivity of the human consciousness, for you are one with that. You are one with that as well. You are a participant in the great puzzling of this unified self, which is humanity, but you are also one who has evolved separately within the eternal structure of the soul's mind and heart. Do you understand us?
Yes.
Do you have questions about this?
How would one learn how to discern what is theirs and what is in the collective?
The information we have given is for yourself alone, Michelle.
Thinking
It is for your own processing and understanding of who you are as a soul. You are Starlight, as most are, many are, who are here at this time. You are Starlight. You are also a stellar apparition, a fragmented piece of a solar consciousness. Do you understand us?
I think so. It's like a star lineage almost is what I'm hearing, a soul stream.
Correct.
Far
Correct.
larger perspective than a human.
And you shall reunify into a non fragmented, unified construct of consciousness while embodied. Do you understand us?
I do. And is the light language, I'm getting the full divine tingles. Thank you for the confirmation. Is the light language something for me to play with, to be with, to take seriously, or is it for fun?
Elementally, light language is a mode of expressing who you are. It is a divine energy that flows through the light of your own beingness. It is a direct expression of your divinity. Thus, it cannot be called not important. It is essential. It does not, however, intimate a directional path or what is forthcoming. It is merely the expression of your soul.
That feels really resonant. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have been one final question, if you don't mind.
Yes.
A bit of a very big awakening journey in terms of my divine mission. I felt very clear for 7 years in my role. And I still feel like I'm in the right space. But if there's anything, maybe even one next step, there was a term that came through when I asked out loud. Thank you, angels, for reminding us to ask out loud. Last night before I went to sleep, just that one next step. And I heard natural law. And I am very drawn to that. And I don't know if there's anything there for me to be with, or if there's anything else as any guidance that you'd be willing to offer me as my directional path in service.
Shoulder no more burdens that are not your own. Be aware. Energy is not finite, but your expression of it can be. The body is the limiter. The body cannot digest the problems of others. You keep, and we guide you with your permission to release that which is not your own, to take on no longer the wounding you cannot solve, to release from your own heart the burden, the burdensome undertaking of wishing to be the guide, the heart, the problem solver that may reunify another to themselves, to simply be your light. To be your light. Your light illuminates what is missing. Your light guides them to the starlight of their own calling, to be and embrace the fullness of your own truth. This is the highest expression of your calling. Do you understand us?
I do, very clearly. Yes, this has been the biggest challenge these last many weeks, is the hypervigilance around wanting people to see what it is not for them to see at this time on their journey.
Agreed.
Yes.
Agreed.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there anything else as a summary or high essence for the collective and this beautiful audience tuning in?
We say, we are an alignment of truth. You are an alignment of truth. Each who are participants in this learning that we are sharing must evolve themselves to open the doorway to their own hearts and heart healing. And through this processing of what they are, come into alignment with their own care and concern. The vibration that they yield heals all others. It is the simplicity of divinity that to be is all there is. There is no doingness. There is no action that will solve what ails you. There is no problem solving that will cure this world. There is only self, and self absolves self. And this is the destiny. This is what calls to you. The action that you take is to love what ails you, to go deeply into the richness of your own experiences, to understand that what is learning is to feel your truth, to allow the love that you are keeping guarded so close and so empty become more by sharing what is within you. We love you each. We bless you. We thank you. And goodbye.
Thank you, angels. Thank you. Beautiful.
Yeah. Hey.
Thank you. Yeah, really, really good.
Super cool. That was awesome that they gave such a personal message. I love it.
Yeah, very, very specific. And, what's also cool is that I knew all that, right?
Yeah.
So it was like, yes, it was just this like, you're just keep going.
that is the coolest thing about truth is when we hear it, it's like that's the discernment to me. When it lands as something, oh, some part of me knew that already, then you know it's true. If it's like so out of left field that it makes no sense, then it's not for you,
Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much. My goodness. I completely forgot we are recording. This is so wild.
I love it.
How long ago? I just realized we got to wrap this podcast up.
I gotta tell you, because I get visuals while they're speaking, and the things that came through, because I have a hard time when I channel, I'm way in my right brain, and it's very hard for me to capture the words. So they show me images, and that helps me to follow what's being shown. And what they showed me was that what was important is the reason why they took the time, even though this is a communication that was geared for everyone, the reason why they spoke to you is because they felt like it was a great example in the specific of something that was applicable to everyone. So they wanted to say for you, like, here's a message for you and everyone, the message is for everyone too. But this is with specific details about your journey, which I thought was so interesting. And what I saw was, so we are all our higher self. It's almost like your higher self is a sun. And that's what I was seeing. So which is different. Like other people, that is not the case. Like your higher, like all of it, they call us starlight, but it's like your consciousness comes from, and the sun fragmented, and like you're a fragment of that. But they showed me that what will happen for you is that there's other fragments of this same consciousness. So it has a different quality. The energy that you're carrying is a different quality than what maybe other people on earth might have. We're all made differently. You've always said, like you said before, maybe I'm Pleiadian or whatever. They're saying that it's like, and they showed it to me literally like a facet of a diamond, like a piece, or, and they showed that as you're embodying more and more and more and more light, and maybe as a flash of light comes, those pieces will all of a sudden come together, but it will happen while you're embodied. You will all of a sudden be able to access, and it's almost like they showed it like a pocket right out there where you could go into it and tap into a higher level of wisdom, and then use it also for healing.
Wow, I can't thank you enough for saying that and sharing that vision that came through, because when the LA fires were happening, and I had all my thoughts about why they were happening, and so did a lot of my friends, but not a lot of people living there. But I sat with the sun. And it was
oh my gosh,
in January, so it was winter here in Texas, and I sat through the sunset, and the message beaming in, I could feel the sun rays, was all is in divine order. All is in divine perfection. Trust, let go. Because I'm from LA, 33 years, my family, friends, my core group. And it was just all is in divine order. Like I was carrying that burden, right?
Oh, and the burden, they talked to you about the burden too.
Yes,
I saw
and
that.
I feel that very strongly with like a split in community and wanting to honor what once was and also be responsible for any lack of anything, right? But yet not carry it so far that I'm making it make me be bad and wrong. Like, I really got it. I'm going to listen to this again. But what's so cool that you shared, and thank you for highlighting it, is that what I've been shown from my guide, whose name is Solara.
Awesome. Oh my gosh, no way. Which is a word for sun. Holy cow. And I'm just looking behind you at that picture, which looks like the
I know,
sun.
I know. Crazy. Which is crazy. Yeah. I don't even know where I was going to go. It doesn't matter. It's all there, but it's like, but oh, I see. It was just this. Where I guide is I'm willing to share the truth,
Yeah. Yeah.
whether it's messy or what. And that authenticity has been what has helped people want to feel safe with me, and trust me. And so it's just more of trusting in that. So thank you, because yeah, that's what that was. It was like, yeah, this that that is for her, it's for you too, if you're willing to
Yeah.
receive.
Yeah. And
Yes.
it was, I think the part that everybody can relate to it is that there's a piece for all of us where we are all just trying to get to the place where we have to come out of the hidey hole. We all have to come out of the hidey hole and allow ourselves to share more and more of ourselves. And it sometimes feels messy and it sometimes feels scary. And we have to try to become, it's like trying our hardest to become aware of the places where we are having an inauthentic experience of who we are, where we're hiding parts, or we're trying to create harmony where we don't feel harmonious inside, whatever it is. But the more we can actually share our truth, the good, the bad, and the ugly, the more light we create.
Yeah.
And that is what's actually going to lead us to the higher state of consciousness.
I thank you for that. Yeah, this is such a beautifully timed message and so grateful for you. We shall continue another one, another time, but thank you, Anne, for your graciousness. Thank you to the angels, Mother of Creation, to Yeshua. So, so thankful.
Awesome. Phenomenal conversation. I knew it would be. Thank you.
Me too. Final words. Where can people find everything about you that they're going to want to dive into?
Yes. So my everything's under my name, Ann Tucker. So it's ANNE. Last name is Tucker with a T. And I'm AnnTucker.com is my website. I do have Soul Convergence coming up starting very soon, the 7th, actually. So like in a week. It's
This will
coming up.
be out before the 7th. Do you want to spend a couple of minutes talking about that?
Oh, that'd be amazing. Thank you.
Sure.
I would
Yes.
love to tell people because it is my deepest healing program. And this is the last time to sign up this year.
Okay.
So it is that experience where it really specifically focuses on the patterns that are the hardest ones for us to see, the ones that we truly need a little help to access. It's a lot of the stuff that comes up literally in the womb and in that birth to age 7 time period. And it's a gentle process guided by the angels. You go through a series, it's through meditation. There is both self-paced as well as live healings. And then there's also, we work with your dreams in order to help you see the healing as it happens. So it's an amazing experience where it's an investment of energy for sure. But the net result, what people experience, the biggest thing we hear is peace, is a much greater sense of peace. And yes, there's like crazy things that happen. Like multiple people have had their hearing restored, which is like, why hearing? But that seems to be a thing for some people. People who have estranged relationships where all of a sudden the person shows up at their door. People who are agoraphobic now going outside. I mean, it's like major stuff going on. But for most people, the thing that they report back is like an amazing new sense where it's not so much that their life is different, but that they are different in their lives. So
Yes.
that is the thing. And it's about balancing the masculine and feminine energies so that you can become coherent and connect to your higher self.
Beautiful, Anne. That's called Soul Convergence, and that starts June 7th. So we'll link that in the show notes as well, and everything else at anntucker.com. And yeah, thank you so much, my love. Beautiful time connecting. Have a beautiful rest of your day.
Thank you so much. You too. Great to speak with you.